Let's hear from one of the signers of the letter, Jeb Bradley, Republican Majority Leader of the New Hampshire State Senate, and the RNC's Chief Strategist and Communications Director, Sean Spicer. Welcome to you both.
Thanks, Brian.
Glad to be here.
Jeb, what is your position about these debate rules that at the moment will only allow 10 on the main stage?
Well, look, I understand the need to try to have some discipline in the process, but at the same time, you're going to exclude what could be viable candidates here in New Hampshire. And I think speaking for a state that has done a really good process of, electing presidents over the years, it really should be the voters who get to winnow out the candidates, not the party and not the media. And I think, a candidate like former Senator Santorum or Governor Kasich or Carly Fiorina or Governor Pataki or Lindsey Graham, Senator Graham, or Governor Jindal, they'd all be excluded in this format right now if the polls that were in effect today. I just don't think that's appropriate.
With all due respect to Senator Bradley, I mean, the fact of the matter is, in 2012, there were 30 candidates on the New Hampshire ballot. There were 26 on the Iowa ballot. What you're talking about, Senator, is you or other folks want to decide who can be it. You're asking a level of subjectivity. In other words, if it's not polling, then what is that level? Because you're not going to ever have 30 people on it, and you keep describing credible candidates. What is a credible candidate? It seems to me as though what you and a lot of the other folks who signed the letter is you want to determine who those credible candidates are. I give Fox and CNN a ton of credit for saying it's not just going to be the top 10 they're going to airtime, but any candidate over 1% will actually get airtime. And additionally, I mean, when you look at history, a lot of candidates, at this point, we would have had 2 GOP debates under the belt by now, neither of which had Mitt Romney in them. So because you don't get in the first debate doesn't mean you're not going to be in the third debate or the fourth debate or the fifth debate. New Hampshire is 6 months away. I think there's plenty of time for a candidate to sit around New Hampshire or Iowa. Rick Santorum was a great case of this last cycle, really worked hard in Iowa and brought himself up. I think New Hampshire voters offer that opportunity to any candidate where you can sit there and have one-on-one discussions with people throughout the state and get your numbers up. And if that's the case, by the time you hit the New Hampshire primary, you're going to be in great shape.
Well, I think Jeb, you were shaking your head earlier.
You don't get in.
I really couldn't disagree with Sean more. I mean, I couldn't disagree with him more. The party apparatus is trying to pick winners and losers. It's not for the party hierarchy to do. It's for voters to do. And I think the early voting states, New Hampshire, Iowa, South Carolina, Florida, do a very good job of winnowing out those candidates. Sean, you should leave these decisions to voters.
Senator, I don't understand it because that doesn't mean anything. When you say leave it to voters, at the end of the day, answer me this. Last cycle, you had 30 candidates on the New Hampshire ballot. Do you expect 30 people to get on a debate stage at any time?
Look, in New Hampshire, people put their names on the ballot who have no intention of becoming president. There's no question about that. But you're excluding.
So who decides
right now,
if it
were
candidate?
Happening today?
How do you decide?
Excuse me, you're excluding Senator Santorum, who got the second most delegates last time because he hasn't made cracked the top 10 yet. I mean, or Governor Kasich, the governor of a very big industrial state, critical for Republicans to be able to win the presidency with the Electoral College votes. I mean, why would we be excluding Governor Kasich?
This is nuts. The idea that anyone has been excluded is crazy. How do you decide that we've excluded anybody? No one. Some of the candidates you just mentioned haven't even hold on. Some of them haven't even announced. Second of all, when you look at what Fox and CNN both did, they've taken what was a historic number of people on a stage and said, we will actually create a second segment in both cases so that any candidate receiving over 1% can get on the stage. So Senator Santorum, any candidates that above 1% is going to get that kind of airtime. I think that is historic in terms of the amount of airtime that we're offering any candidate that gets over there. So I don't see how you can argue that that's not a great opportunity for any candidate.
Let me ask if we can find some common ground here by pointing out that maybe this is the least bad option. And can we agree that the networks are trying to find the least worst way to do this by setting up, frankly, a main debate for the top candidates, but offering a secondary area, a secondary forum for the lower tier candidates? Would you agree with that, Jeb?
Well, I think if it were structured so that some of the top tier candidates shared a debate stage with some of the other candidates that are at that 1% level, then I would agree with that. But basically, you're creating 2 strata of candidates. The ones that have been picked by the media based on polls, and ones that haven't done quite as well as the polls, and it's going to be tenths of a % of difference between the 10th and the 11th and the 12th.
Rachel Maddow's referred to this as the children's table for the secondary debate stage. What is the answer to that, Sean?
Exactly.
I mean, doesn't that set up a two-tiered system, and isn't that troubling for the RNC?
Right? I think what you want is to have the most inclusive process possible by which everybody has an opportunity to get on a stage and make their case to the American people and to early state voters.
Unfortunately, Sean, you're creating a perception that there's a top tier and a second tier. And there is almost no argument about that. And when you do that, voters react to that because other people in the media and you at the RNC are making that choice. Why don't you structure the two debates in such a way that everybody in that 1% gets on the stage? That's all we're asking.
No matter how you slice it, as you put it, there's no perfect answer to this. In 1992, the gentleman that was leading the Democratic field with 20% at this time was Mario Cuomo, a gentleman who never became a candidate. So let's actually let the system play out a little. But the idea that this is a be-all and end-all is a little ridiculous. It's the first step in a very long process.
Sean Spicer and Jeb Bradley, thanks for being here.
Thank you very much.
Brian.